Hi, welcome to review today. Recently, two dystopian YA series have ended, and I've done the review on books 1 and 2, so I thought I'd better, finish it all up and do a review on the final third book. So the first series is the Chemical Garden Trilogy by DeStefano, and then the second series is the Across the Universe series by Beth Revis. Now, I'll put the links to the review that is in the other two books. So, first I'll talk about the Chemical Garden Trilogy. So, the third book was called Sever. Out of all the dystopian YAs I read, this was one of my favourite worlds created. I loved the first book. It was so, subtle but powerful as well, and I loved it. I loved the world, the characters, the story, everything. The second book, I've discussed this, that there is this problem with trilogies sometimes, in that the author, like the first book is the intro and you get to know everyone and it's all great. The third book, the author wants to leave all the answers for the third book. So usually the second book leaves you unsatisfied because you don't get all the things that you want. And that was what happened with this second book, Fever. I just couldn't wait for Ryan and Rowan, her twin brothers, to be reunited, and I wanted answers, and we didn't really get much. It was just kind of like a filler. So I was really looking forward to the third book, and I was like, yes, we get all the things we want. It'll be great. I found the third book was depressing, frustrating, and just it left me unsatisfied by the end of it, unfortunately. It was just a bit odd. Like, the first part of the book, I thought was unnecessary, like the first, 100 and odd pages. It was just totally unnecessary and could have been written out, and the story could have moved a lot faster. We just ignored that part. There was just a lot of waiting around, and I was like, go away, Cecily Linden, just let Ryan go and do what she wants to do. And then the ending as well, it was just quite strange. Not strange, I don't know, it felt like Ryan was like numb to the world, so I couldn't feel anything, and because it's all through her eyes. So yeah, I wasn't sure what to think about it really. Like, there were some shocking moments in it, and we got our reunion, which was great. There were some good moments in it, but other times I was just kind of frustrated with the book. I wanted Ryan to kind of, act a bit more and, show a bit more emotion, because sometimes, I know she went through a lot, but sometimes she was a bit, I think, numb, and she wasn't really doing much, and just, going along with the emotions. And obviously, this author was great, so it was written really well, and it's still in that really unique world. But I didn't like the author's choices and ambiguity at times. I do think this book could have ended better. So I still loved the first book, and the second book was good overall, but I just, couldn't wait to get into the third one. And then in the third one, it just wasn't as good as I was hoping. Like, there were some good parts in there, and it was just the beginning was quite boring, and the ending, I don't know, it just didn't feel right. So yeah, unfortunately it didn't put this series up my top dystopian series. But I mean, it was still overall a good one, and I would always go back and reread the first book again, I think. But yeah, that's that. That's my review on Sever. Now I'm going to do a quick spoiler review, so if you haven't read this book before, I suggest you switch off now. So, something that happened that's quite similar actually to Fragments by Dan Wells is that, there's this big problem in the world and the virus, and no female is living over 20, male over 25, and that was the most fascinating kind of world ever I read. Not ever, but one of the good ones. And I was like, I can't wait to figure out how they're going to solve all this. And then in the end, Vaughn brings Ryan and Rowan to this other part of the world, like Hawaii, I think. And it's all just cure there, it's all normal. It just makes you think, oh, forget about the rest. It just belittles everything else. It's not seen as serious now because there's a part of the world that has the cure. I don't know, I wanted something better to solve it all, not just that, oh, it's already all solved, all the people here are grand. Yeah, so I was a bit annoyed at that. As well, Ryan, she was quite numb and didn't really react enough to things. The way Rowan was just naively believing everything Vaughn did, and Vaughn was the one who split them up and kidnapped her, and Rowan wasn't even angry about that. I wanted Ryan to scream at him and tell her all the things that happened, and that like they shouldn't be with Vaughn. Thanks to him, all this horrible stuff happened to the two of them. So I was a bit annoyed at that as well, that like, you know, Vaughn wasn't getting his comeuppance and they didn't really care, and she just kept going along with him and going along with all these experiments. And yeah, I wanted her to, you know, to be more present, and for her and Rowan to kind of stand together, and they did stand together, and their reunion was quite nice. I was really looking forward to that part, and you know, it was great, but just because that whole Vaughn thing, it just kind of ruined it for me. At the beginning, I was just like, with Cecily and didn't ever go away. They're just slowing everything down, and like I felt like we got those parts of the characters in the second book and even in the first book, so we didn't need any more. I liked Reed though. And then Lyndon's death was quite, you know, abrupt and shocking. I was like we didn't even get an explanation of how it happened. Like, was it like a bang to the head or something? I don't know. It was just really weird. And we had the near death of Cecily as well, and I don't know, it was all just a bit unnecessary. I thought the story could have gotten a bit faster and just could have gone with Ryan going to look for her brother straight away. So yeah, I was reading it along, and you know, it was good, but it wasn't amazing. And then the minute Gabriel came into it, it just reminded me of the first book, and I just loved it then. It was just so similar to my feelings for the first book. I know what it was, he just came and it just got better. Unfortunately, it was like way into the book until the very end. But yeah, I think he's just really, he's so sweet and nice, and he's just a really nice character. So I liked him, and thankfully him and Ryan are still together. She was, you know, I was worried she would, I don't know, do something stupid. But then in the end, all their problems are just kind of neatly solved because Cecily kills Vaughn. Grand, I understand all that. And then it's not even that actually, it's just the part after that where they all just get the cure, and it's like really, the chapter moves really quickly, moves over years and months, and you know, everything's fine, but not, you know, Ryan still isn't 100% happy. I got that feeling. I don't know, it all felt like they were going through the motions, and things were solved, like this big problem was just solved a bit too easily. So I don't know, I was just left a bit frustrated by the end of it. So overall, again, it's still good writing, good kind of world, but just the author's choices I wasn't really happy with. So that's unfortunate, but so yeah, I don't know what you think about it. The second book I'm going to talk about is Shades of Earth, third book in the Across the Universe series by Beth Revis. Thankfully this book wasn't as disappointed as the other one I talked about. I thought it was actually really good. It was serious and tragic, and had moments you were just, you know, happy with, and feel good moments, and then also, you know, the really exciting tense moments. I thought, you know, it had everything. It was really good. I think I prefer the second book just a bit more though. It was just missing that, I don't know, something that made me go, oh, I love it, 5 out of 5 stars. So I gave it 4 stars, but it was still quite good. Like, they're on Earth now, or no, what's it called, like the other type of Earth, and there's like other people there killing them all off, and then it was very frustrating with when all the humans, well, Amy's humans woke up, her parents, and they started taking over. It was very unfair. I think this author is great at like bringing out these emotions and you kind of like indignation and anger on behalf of all these other characters. Because I felt that a lot actually in the second book. And like many characters die, and it's sad. And then I read on a review that the author actually wasn't going to put in the very last chapter, which would have made this book completely different in my opinion. I'm glad she did put it in. I say she got too many complaints if she didn't. And Amy and Elder, they're just so sweet. They've come so far. Again, you know, it's a dystopian, so it ended a little bit on a depressing note. Not overly depressing, but you know, there's always a little bit there. But yeah, I think if you know, you would be satisfied with the series by the end, which is good. So now I'm going to do a quick spoiler review on Shades of Earth, so if you haven't read it, I suggest you switch off now. So it was really tragic with that whole, like, what you call it, spaceship of like 500 people just killed in 2 seconds, like, with Amy's mother on board. That was really sad. And then the last chapter, like, it was really sad when Elder decided to sacrifice himself. I suspected that he would come back, especially, you know, I read that comment before I read the book about, you know, the last chapter, was originally not included. So I was like, no, I say the author would bring it back. And if she didn't, it would have been even more depressing. But you know, him and Amy got to be happy. You know, she's kind of one of those altered people too. And I do like, it ended well. Like, it didn't make me want to go, oh, I want another book, or I wanted another chapter. No, I was happy with the ending. It worked out. They just get to live there now and worry about people invading them in another 20 years or whatever. So yeah, I thought it was really good, and you know, changed up, and yeah, left me happy with it at the end. So there's the two books. One was a little disappointing and the other was good. So if you read them, let me know, and thank you very much for watching.